So our final presentation will be by Marianne, who is a project manager and a senior graphic designer from the National Museum of Denmark. And she's going to ask some questions like how permanent are permanent exhibitions, how participating or interactive can permanent exhibitions be, organization and concept design of permanent exhibitions by the National Museum of Denmark. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to see so many people here for the last talk, because I thought probably it's myself and maybe 2 or 3 people here, and everybody else is tired of all this input we got from yesterday and today. I think we have been around many themes. We have talked a lot about it, and actually we have also given answers to some of these questions I put, I think. So I hope, and not repeating too much from what people have said before, I will talk about concrete things we have done, about 4 exhibitions we have done at the National Museum. There will be permanent exhibitions. I have to see how I actually am moving this. Where is my presentation? Is there anybody who knows to work a PC? It should be, or is it just this one? Oh, there, yeah, blank, like nothing. Yeah. Full screen, yes. And then this one can point when I put, there, yeah, good, yeah, so. Now you know who I am, and this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the locations from these different exhibitions, and also a bit how to organize these exhibitions. A lot of people talked about it before, like Chavi today and yesterday, some other people, and also when we not were here, about the curators versus design people, what is going on, how are we doing this. Then I will talk about the space for the exhibitions, how different is that to what that comes out, about the material, because depending on how long time you think an exhibition should be, you have to choose different materials. And then coming into the new ways of communicating with the audiences in permanent exhibitions, and what do we do with the new technologies. We have to find other ways to maintain them than in normal traditional exhibitions. And in the end, do we still need permanent exhibitions, or maybe do we have to have a lot more faster turnover, a bit like Kami was in yesterday? It sounded first like a year or 2, then everything is not modern anymore. This is the National Museum of one part. It's like a rectangular palace. It was the Prince's Palace in 1682. It's in the heart of Copenhagen, so we're very central. Oops, this is the wrong way around. In 1992, we got a new entrance hall over atrium, which meant that, now I see if it worked, that the entrance who was here is now moved around the corner. So we have a new entrance, and all our permanent exhibitions are actually turned around the wrong way. So when the people come in now, they enter the back time of the exhibition. So far we have managed to change 2 of the exhibitions, the Danish Prehistory and the new times, the Danish stories. So we're missing the Middle Ages, and some people have started to work on that already. Our museums are all over Denmark. I don't know if Copenhagen is here. Then we have an open air museum here, and a new industrial museum. And here we work on a Viking museum. We have some other ones here which I won't mention. So these are the main museums we are servicing from Copenhagen. I want to talk to you about the 4, the one at Royal Jelling from 1999, then the Stories of Denmark we did in 2000, Danish Prehistory in 2008, and Brede Works, that is the Industrial Museum, in 2009. At the moment we are working at museum of music, but we are still at the building phase, so we're not at the exhibition yet. And on the prisoner camp, we're turning over the labels and the graphics. So this is Royal Jelling, which has two Viking grave barrows. This is now a UNESCO cultural site. That's why one thought one has to do something. So they got built a new house, which is called not a museum, but an exhibition hall. And so we had to do something. We had no objects because the National Museum in Copenhagen is keeping all the originals. So out in the countries, they have to live with the copies. So that was not so good. And we also have these rune stones here, which are supposed to be not supposed, it's the birth certificate of Denmark, where Harald Bluetooth, a Viking king, has in this rune stones mentioned that the Danes have become Christian. So that's why it's so important for Denmark. Brede Works, this is a bit of Copenhagen in the north, the Industrial Museum, who used to be a textile factory, a whole society around it at this river, where we have installed the last exhibition, and which is actually the only one where we try to be interactive or take the public, communicate with the public. I can really say we working with communities like a lot of you have mentioned you do. Oops, there's something happened to the text there. I don't know, here as well, yes. Anyway, it should say project managers for exhibitions. Why I take this is because we, 2 years ago, started to work as a project organization. For many of you, it's probably just normal. But for us, it meant that a project manager can be everybody who has got training as a project manager. So that's what I am doing. That's what people from conservation are doing, as whoever from the museum. So at the moment, we are doing two things. We are working in our own profession, and those who got trained as a project manager, they work as a project manager. And that means that, like the curators, it can also be a curator, but this project manager never comes in with other professional work. So a project manager is only doing project managing. So you don't. If I'm the project manager, I don't do the graphics. Then I hire somebody, get somebody else to doing the graphics. If a curator is the project manager, the curator does not do the curating of the exhibition. So far, we only have tried this on temporary exhibitions, and the effect was that we actually tried new things. That we got involved more people, that we could do untraditional ways. But it has also new ways always have to fit together to describe why are you doing this. Is it a good way? And but I think in these groups we achieved that the people felt we are moving forward, we are doing something good, but it takes more resources. The people have to work more because we don't have the experience. We have to find out how are we going to do it and who can help us. So it's new ground, but it's the way we are going forward, I think, and some people might hope at the National Museum we go back again, but I don't think it will happen. And one other important thing in this theme is that now nobody who is only a leader, as in the way not coming in with work, not contributing, is in this organization any longer. Everybody who sits in a working group or in the project group is contributing with work, and that helps. That people feel they are part of it, they feel they are along in the project, and it also helps of feeling informed about what is going on. So how does that look in practice? As I said, this one we only used at the temporary exhibitions, and the examples from the permanent exhibitions is still sort of say after the old model. When I start talking about the spaces, it's because they're very different what we had. Like in the Danish, the modern times, which is from 1660 to 2000, it's 2,000 or 1,800 square meters rectangle room, but it's very low ceilinged and it's a lot of little rooms. And we have heaps of objects. So it can be for the customer, it can feel like it's a labyrinth, and how do I come out here is a question which we actually got put many times. So we have to put up extra plans to say that people know where they are, so they know there is a way out one day. We have the same space for the Danish Prehistory, which is 3 levels. The Danish Prehistory is on the ground floor, Middle Ages, which is still the wrong way around, is in the middle, and the Danish Modern Times is on top. So when we finish, then the audience can go up in time all the way around. So that will be nice. For the Danish Prehistory, we have higher ceilings, as you can see, and we have a lot of daylight. And there we decided to be more not coming away from this labyrinth feeling, and we are actually very consequent in having an information label all the way around in a rectangular through the whole exhibition, only interrupted by some scenical rooms like this. This is from where you have some box finds, and otherwise we have it strictly divided, all information there. Then we have the highlight finds here, and then all on the walls is all the studio collections, a lot of where you have a lot of the objects. Completely different is it then in the industrial exhibition, because there we have the room, which is the old factory hall, and the architects, which were actually some Dutch architects, they wanted to keep the impression of the old factory room, so they have constructed a transparent metal cube inside, so you can see what it was, and even have the exhibition, in a new way. Here you can see they didn't care about how the rooms were. Here's a door, and here it goes on. They just put on the exhibition just the way they wanted to do it, as it's not to take care of what the room wants otherwise. So which was quite new and a bit challenging for us, and especially for the curators. I think they thought this was a bit too much, but it's done. So how permanent are the permanent exhibitions? Do we know more about it since yesterday and today? I don't know. What do you think? Is it 5 years? Does anybody? Can you indicate what you think? Is it 5 years? Does anybody think a permanent exhibition is 5 years? No. Is it 10 years? 10 years? 20 years? 30? It won't happen. Okay, I can tell you at the National Museum, at least, we have some exhibitions, I'm sure. I don't even know if they're 30, 40. We should go in the archives, I think, to find out how old they are. So that's why we think about what materials do we use a lot, how long time can they stand time when we start doing it. This one is an exhibition from the Royal Jelling, and actually this will be changed. As it's only 13 years old, so it's nearly been close to a record from the National Museum. But it is because, as I mentioned before, we didn't have many original objects, and now because there are new excavations and new results from the scientists, so it shall be a bigger place and it shall become an activity center. So, but I don't know yet if we are doing it or if maybe somebody else does it over in Jutland. Then, and the first time in Jelling, we actually silk screened on wood, on metal, and had still these transparents into these metal frames. Here in the Danish history, because I mentioned it was these small rooms and it was very crowded, we tried to have all the text on glass, so it should be more invisible. It should be, it shouldn't take so much place. And there was one thing we thought was genius at the time, that was these object labels on glass, which were on single glass pieces. So in case you should have an object which should be changed. Also, you just had to change this little piece. We thought that was great because then the rest could stay. We didn't think that conservation people, they go in and clean the dust and everything, and when it's glass in there, a lot of them break when they come in, so we actually had to replace a lot of them. So yeah, I wouldn't do it anymore, I think. But at the time we thought it was a great idea. And as well, as this is also silk screen on glass, and it's on some matte glass, and at that time one couldn't print on glass yet. So we had photographs which we put from behind so the audience doesn't scratch them or whatever, and had to put lac on so you could see through, and very complicated. Now it's no problem anymore because now you can just print on whatever you want to, and I think for a graphic designer it's just paradise. In the museum, not on Earth maybe. So this is now from this information panel from the Danish Prehistory. It gives a lot of possibilities. It still is very fragile when you mount it. Also when the people mounted it, someone had to take care. They didn't scratch the print, so some places they had to retouch a little bit. But now this exhibition is there since 2008. And so as far as I can see, there's no problem yet. I wonder how long the prints will hold. The printer, they got a guarantee for 100 years, they said. And so I wonder how that comes from. How should they know how long time these prints are going to stay? So we have to sort of test ourselves how long time it will take. Yeah, we do the same for the showcases. We print on glass here in the showcases, but they're on the front of it. These are, by the way, the famous golden horns, one of the highlight objects in Denmark, which were originally stolen and melted, and then these are actually only copies which exist nowadays. And this is also from the Danish Prehistory. Another thing I think which one has to think about, we heard some examples, is the showcases. How are they? Also, I had the idea that a permanent exhibition is like you install the exhibition and then that's it. But I have learned that actually there's a lot of heavy traffic in these showcases, like the scientists, they're taking in and out all these objects, and they're on loan and whatever, and they're studying. So these showcases, they get open and closed very often. And like here, it looks light, but actually it's quite heavy to open them, and you have to even put something underneath that the sides don't break down. So one has to think very much how one develops these showcases. To all these exhibitions, we always get our architects to draw them by themselves, so we don't buy finished showcases. And in the industrial exhibition, we also printed on glass. Now I got so used to it and like it. Maybe I have to do something else soon. And then we stenciled the lettering on the wall to keep this industrial character, which is not a new, but rather a very old technique actually. One problem here is that one wall is very humid, so there's sort of comes some crystallized salt through the lettering. So yeah, we have not found a solution at what we do there, but so far one can still read the text, so we must see. And here the showcases are like transport crates, which fits to the industrialization that you have a lot of goods and you transport the things wherever you want to. So it has a very rough expression. Text here is in metal frames and on some foil, and that actually has the effect that it's like burned into it. So that is very stable. So you can't scratch that and whatever away like you do on glass also. Yeah, and then the question if the permanent exhibitions, shall they involve audiences, and how do we do with it? Here in this industrial exhibition, we have built up some active ticket stations. That means that everybody gets an active ticket, like a credit card. And when you are in the traditional exhibition with the showcases, the thought was you collect items and then you go to these stands and then you get several deeper information. Though it was very difficult for us, this was 2 years ago, to solve the technique behind it, to collect these items. So now I know now one can get apps and so on to it, but at that time it wasn't. So we solved it with some reader, and therefore the first time we also did integrated a sort of that you could answer to questions, and then you have like a game. You got told what sort of working person you are. You are a career a person as a. Or are you a family person or whatever? And so that's the first time that we think of people might think something like that is interesting. Here in this hall, people can with this ticket choose which person they want to see the rest of the exhibitions. Who was like the director or like the worker who does some special things. So when the people go through the exhibition, they see beside the machines, they get some personal stories. Depending on what they have chosen before. So other people can see what you have chosen and you see then another story, or you can do the same thing once again and choose another person and get another story. The last thing you can do with this interactive ticket is you can take part in a game. It's part in a game, actually you have to work on an assembly line. And you have to put some things together. I looked it up in the dictionary, now I forgot what it's called. You put some steel balls together in special patterns. And you have to work together, the people, and then there's somebody to control it. And then here this monitor, it indicates like when the world market has some changes, when the prices are falling or whatever, then you have to produce new patterns. So then people have to change their production. And actually there are two factories. So these two factories are competing with each other. And you can see on this monitor how you are doing and how the other factory is doing. So sometimes people get very, very stressed and they're working very hard. I have to say, it works best when there is a person there to introduce to the game, and also if there's more people playing, like if there's only 2-3 people, it's maybe not so good. But I think that counts for a lot of these things. It's good if you have a person there to instruct you or to tell you about the game, because our experience is it's very difficult to write through all the steps what you have to do. But unfortunately, we don't have really the money to have people there. So, but I think we work on that solution because I think it's necessary to have personal contact. Then to the last thing is the new technologies in permanent exhibitions. How fast do they change? I think Kimi yesterday said it's about every 5th year then the technology has changed if it takes such a long time. This picture here is from our temporary exhibition, which we use all the temporary exhibitions for testing the techniques what one can then use in the permanent exhibitions. So this is for the first time we work with big projections with films where the things are moving around. And we get really good response from the people, but for the AV guy, and we only have one, it's a lot of work. He gets called up in the weekends and he gets called up on his vacation. So I think one has to have all that in the budget to think there must be another person who can maintain it, or maybe how is it? How long time can all these projectors exist? And whatever. So I think maybe I know some museums, like the Historical Museum in Berlin, I think they count sort of like every year they will change a part of the museum. So they have in their budget that you change a certain part every year. So I think one has to have that in the permanent exhibition later on as well. We test in this temporary exhibition at the moment, which is called Europe Meets the World, and I will recommend you, if you're close to Copenhagen, to see it. It's just been extended to the 5th of August. There we also test the QR codes, as a quick reading codes over there, because we thought our target group, they go with smartphones and they know to handle iPads, so they have these devices with them, so they would use it in the exhibition. And to those people who don't have it, we offer that they can loan an iPod Touch in the information and then test it. And actually with that we have some good experiences, because people, when it functions, it's excellent. People like that they learn some. If it doesn't, it's horrid. And I have to say it's both at the moment. And we're working with the Wi-Fi and how with the programming and yeah. And unfortunately, I also think more people could use it. So, but if it's slow, then maybe people fall off before instead of it's going fast. So I think there are a lot of technical things one has to improve. But I think it's a good way to get deeper into get other explanations. Like here, this is from Himmler, what do you call an eye clap, when he was hiding his identity when he got caught after the war. And this is the curator explaining more about it. So you have the possibility that the curators can talk. You have also the possibilities, maybe not in this one, but with other items, you can come very close to the objects. So I think these technologies are really, really good to use. And we intend, after this exhibition, we will put them in these places where we have produced it to the permanent objects in the permanent exhibitions. And we use the same thing with the smartphones for big QR codes on the floor, where people have to vote things. So we don't ask what is right or wrong, but ask people, who do you think, for example, should be able to vote in the EU? And then we put up several, it's in Danish, yeah? Several cases, like a soldier with 16 years, or people who is dement, or whatever. What do people think? And in the end, you will see the results in the exhibitions. So I think we want to do more than that, so you can compare what you think and what have other people said, and so what does the public think they do. And I feel this is only the start for us. We are maybe a bit late in doing it, but better late than never. So I don't know, by the end of this conference, do we think there's still a future for the permanent exhibitions, or do we change them? Yeah, now you all said about 10 years at least, so that sounds like there is a future for the permanent exhibitions. That was what I had. Do you have questions or comments on this, or what do you think it is?
Thank you for your interesting lecture. My question is about the text in the exhibition. Do you prefer long text or short text? And are the texts translated only Danish here, or English?
We do all exhibitions in Danish and English, so always. There were some these QR texts, these codes. There we have only in Danish and English, where you can vote, where you can say, also in this interactive thing, where you can say who is going to vote, and it's a question about religion, it's a question about prejudices about each other, you know. What do you think? How are the Estonians? How are the Germans? That's only in English and Danish, but like the curators, so far we have it only in Danish. And then we also have some education labels in the exhibition, which is also only in Danish, because that's produced to Danish school classes. And we thought, while it's produced, it's stories told and extra material, we can give it also to the normal public. But the rest of it is all in Danish and English.
So I wanted to ask about the education part. That is like Danish Danish museums integrated into Danish history? Well, not history, educational system.
Yeah.
So
the educational system at schools, or so you think?
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, I had a photo, I took it out, unfortunately, because this is the second time we have integrated and this is only in the temporary exhibition, not in the permanent, I have to say, a place for education. Also the school classes are working in the education, in the exhibition, and when they are gone home, then the normal audience can use that space as well, like sitting down, sleeping. The guards, they say some people are sleeping there on fat boys and so, they're not happy with that, but just relax them and get some more informations. But we don't have that in the permanent exhibitions yet.
Okay. But is it like decision made by the museum or by the school or by some, I don't know, authorities that it is connected, like interconnected?
As a connected, the museum knows what the school's schemes are, what the level, on which level you have, they do which subjects. And then the museum looks at how can they, like with every exhibition, what can they connect with what the school schemes are. So it's not it's the museum who decides, or if we maybe don't do anything for a special subject, so we don't have to do it.
Okay, so initiator is actually the museum?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Marianne, how many people worked on this Europe Meets the World project?
70 to 80 people.
So many. And how many square meters are there?
Oh, the temporary exhibition is 1,000
Yeah.
square meters, and the permanent ones are about 2,000. And also when I say 70 people, then it's like, that's when we have the final, it's also people working with budget, or also everybody, like the guards, and if you think, you maybe think only the people who are doing like architects, curators and so on.
Yes, concerning especially the Europe Meets the World exhibition.
Yeah, also we had one lead curator on it, and we had 4 curators sort of in charge for their field, and on top of that about 8 other curators coming in with input. And objects, because all the objects in this exhibition, Europe Meets the World, is from the National Museum, all from our own collections.
And how long did you prepare it?
Only for us, only 1.5 years. Normally we have 3 years for such an exhibition. So everybody also felt it was quite stressy, and the curator especially, and also they said they don't want such a time all the time. But I mean, yeah, it was possible, and otherwise I think like one has then to decide to be less ambitious on some places as a.
Could it be a permanent exhibition in the future? This one, Europe Meets the World, that would be a part of the permanent exhibition?
No, because we won't have space for that. Yeah, also because we have the several collections, and this is for the first time, and it's the first time at the museum that the curators work together. Because normally curators are used to, they do their field and that, and it was very challenging for them as well because they have different methods to work, and to connect in that. And it was also new that they are not in as having the totally leading part that I was a project manager. It was also something they have to get used to.
You were the boss.
Yeah, I'm not the boss, but I'm just trying to get that everybody is coming in. And we have, as we've seen before, we have then a project owner on top. Also, when I have problems, then I go to the project owner or to the steering group. Which is nice. Not saying it's easy then by that. Yeah, it's challenging, but I think it's very interesting because one can change something and things move. They move slow, but they move.